What up? This is Fish on a Heater with Tournament Takeaway. So in this series we take a look at a single Silph Arena battle, and to just break it down, take a look at all the decisions that we made, all the things that happened, kind of all the things we did and didn't do, and kind of take a look at what we can learn from it, what each decision meant, and bring stuff out of it to take into future battles and hopefully become better battlers. Today, what are we going to learn? Simply, Sudowoodo is amazing. For those who don't know, because there would be a few of you, if you took a look at every person who's into Pokemon Go PvP and lined them up and surveyed them all and said, do you play the Silph Arena? Or do you just stick with GBL? Good proportion of them would say, I just do GBL, what's Silph Arena, right? So for those who don't know, Silph Arena is the biggest Pokemon Go PvP competition in the world, as far as I'm aware. So it goes from all the way down to a community level, all the way up to a world championship. The arena releases a meta each month, a theme, if you will. So this month is the Catacomb Cup, which is all your Pokemon have to be rock, bug, dark, ice, or grass type. Okay, they can be dual types, of course, but at least as long as they have at least one of those types. And there are a few specific species bans as well, but I won't get into that. It's too complicated. But so yeah, Silph Arena sets this meta, and any community around the world can run a tournament using that theme. So if you belong to a raid group like the Upper West Side Raiders group, that group can decide we're going to run a Silph Arena tournament, and they set it all up, and they all compete against each other, and they log the results, and they get sent through to the arena servers, and they all get aggregated with everyone else's results around the world. There's a big global leaderboard, and once a season, which is 10 months, the best battlers from every community around the world get invited to their nearest regional final. So all the best battlers from all those different communities are all together and facing each other, and they're playing for a spot in the Continental Championship, and the winner of the Continental Championship goes through to the World Championship. So there is something for everyone, really. Like you can just stick with that real grassroots fun local community stuff, or you can aim big and try and get to the top of the food chain, the World Championship. It's so much fun. Now, with all these kind of restricted metas, there's always a few Pokemon that rise to the top that weren't previously up there. And this month, it is Sudowoodo. Sudowoodo is just like a funky tree king. It's amazing. Let's see what Sudowoodo can do, right? This is a battle against an opponent called Oroiti. I hope I pronounced that right. Let me know if I didn't. Sorry about that. They are a Silph Road staff member. We're both part of the Silph Road, and we take part in a monthly tournament that they run. Let's see how it went. So, started out with Alolan Graveler versus Beedrill, which is excellent for me. A bit of lag to start off with, and then they switch out to a Drapion to catch the Rock Blast. And so I bring out Beedrill. So obviously a Drill Run is going to take out the Drapion in one shot, but I decide to go for a Shield Bait first. And I do get it. So I managed to take out one of their shields, and I get greedy. I go for another one. And I get it as well. So now I'm at a huge advantage, right? 2 to 0 shields. At this point, my Beedrill has really done its job. Like it's there's no point keeping it around. I'm not going to spend one of my shields if my opponent gets to a charge move themselves, which they do. And it's Furl Stinger, which is, when you think about it, the better move to run, because the Drapion one of those Pokemon that has a lot of different viable movesets. And this month, everyone seems to be running Felstinger and Aqua Tail as the two moves. Felstinger, of course, raises the attack of the Pokemon, so when paired with a high damage move like Ice Fang, very potent. But also, the fact that Oroweedy threw a Felstinger in those last moments there meant that the Drapion could get in another couple of Ice Fangs, which gets it 2 Ice Fangs worth of energy closer to its next charge move. And when it's at, reasonably low health like that, that's important. And so now out comes the tree. Thick boy. I'm going to shield this no matter what it is, right? Because if you look at Oroweedy's team down below me, right? A lot of those Pokemon are very susceptible to Sudowoodo, right? That Vespiquen, obviously, with the double weakness to Rock, is going to get one shot by a Rock Slide. That Beedrill is going to get one shot. I know the Castform almost gets one shot by a Rock Slide. The Drapion, it's going to hurt, but that paired with Counter is still going to take care of that fine. And Umbreon doesn't get hit too hard by Rock Slide, but when I've got shields to hide behind, that Counter is going to add up. So, and even the opposing Sudowoodo, right? The fact that I've got an energy lead and shields means that I can get to an Earthquake long before the opposing Pseudo can hurt me very much. So I recognized that this Sudowoodo was very important to the battle, so I was going to shield whatever this was. The consequence of letting it through and it being Aqua Tail would have been so much more than the reward for letting it through and it being Felstinger, if that makes sense. So I'm just shielding this whatever it is, right? Did turn out to be Aqua Tail, which is great, and I get to save up more energy by countering it down. So now out comes the Snowy Castform, and I throw a Rock Slide, and it almost takes it out. Now, it's actually better for me that it didn't quite take it out than if it did, because now I get to throw 1, 2, 3 more counters, and then do a little pirouette, and ta-da! And now I've got 3 extra counters worth of energy to throw onto the next Pokemon, which is Beedrill. It only took 1 counter to get up to that charge move. And that's it. Game over, right? So that you wouldn't have thought when the battle was half over that it would have finished that quickly and suddenly, but it did. The fact that my opponent had no shields meant that those Rock Slides added up and just cut through the opposing team, right? Let's take a look at, this is pvpoke.com. If you're not aware of what pvpoke.com is, it is a fantastic tool for Pokemon Go PvP. Really, intuitive, user-friendly, and just is able to break things down on like a turn-by-turn level, which is so handy. So what we've got here is we've put Sudowoodo against the top 25 Pokemon for the Catacomb Cup. This is the 25 most meta-relevant Pokemon, the ones that kind of rise to the top when you take out all the other stuff. 25 best Pokemon for Catacomb Cup. So let's go One Shield versus One Shield. Started from 0 energy, because when this site kind of pits Pokemon against each other to see who wins, it defaults to One Shield versus One Shield. It sees that as like the middle point. And so if we do that against those 25 top Pokemon for Catacomb Cup, Pseudo will win 13 of those battles, lose 10, and draw 2. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that one of those 2 draws is against itself. Yep. So That 500 means a draw. You know, it goes from best to worst, 1,000 to 0, and 500 is the middle. Also, interestingly, drawing with with Sableye, which is a bit surprising. Let's see some of these losses here. Jumpluff, of course. You know, being a grass Pokemon, Energy Ball being a good move, it's definitely going to lose to Jumpluff. Victory Bell with that Razor Leaf, of course, is going to add up. Frostlass it loses to, which is an interesting one. Venusaur, of course. Pinsir, that close combat, is going to wreck you. Tangrowth, Shiftry, Breloom, all kind of obvious stuff. Alolan Graveler is an interesting one. But yeah, so that's the one shield versus one shield. So now let's go no shields on either side. So Sudowoodo's got no shields, and whatever Pokemon your opponent's got in also has no shields. 17 wins, 7 losses, and a draw. So that is an extra 4 wins and 3 less losses. I think that's right. So we're still losing to Venusaur, still losing to Pinsir, still losing to Tangrowth, Breloom, still losing to Jumpluff, but still losing to Victory Bell. We've got Caracosta here, who we think that, you know, with the surf damage, that Caracosta would win that. It's a very close one, but Caracosta does win that. Frostlass is all the way up here, so we've definitely switched that over. We've flipped the Graveler matchup. Beedrill we're crushing here. Interestingly, Sceptile and Shiftry are now wins, right? So, yeah. I mean, Sceptile and Shiftry aren't quite as meta relevant as some of those others. Frostlass, there's a lot of people bringing Frostlass too. Let's take it even further. Let's give Sudowoodo 2 counters worth of energy as a lead, right? So, say you've done the work of burning both of your opponent's shields, and then you switch in a Sudowoodo, and it takes enough time for them to react and switch something else in that you've got 2 counters in, right? It's now 20 wins and 5 losses out of 25, right? So what have we got? What have we flipped? That Pinsir, we're now crushing. That Frostlass we are murdering right now. We're still losing to Venusaur, we're still losing to Jumpluff, you know, all the standard ones that you would absolutely think that we would lose against, right? But then look at this. We take out another counter worth of energy. It's now 21 and 4, and we have flipped the Jumpluff as well. Now, the Jumpluff, you know, the Shiftry and the Sceptile were one thing, but Jumpluff is actually quite popular so far this month. So the fact that we've now flipped that to win that one, that's a big deal, right? So what we've learned there is, actually, let's do one more thing, right? Now let's be up 1 shield. So this is 1 shield to 0, and the 3 counter lead, and now we are beating all but one of the top 25 Pokemon in the cup. The only Pokemon we're losing to is Victory Bell, right? With that hard-hitting Razor Leaf. We're now beating Breloom. We're beating Venusaur. We're beating Tangrowth. All these Pokemon that you would think beat it are now flipped by having 1 shield in hand and a bit of extra energy, right? So, we've established that. Now let's take a look at what would happen if Oroiti had saved their shields for later in the battle, right? I've reconstructed the whole battle from the point that they switch out their lead into the Drapion to catch the Rock Blast, and then I switch to the Beedrill. So that's where we pick it up from, right? So in this scenario, I've assumed that Oroiti's just going to let their Drapion go. So there's no point in firing Fell Stingers. They're just going to go for broke and try and get Aqua Tails through, right? Which I haven't shielded. I'm still trying to shield bait them, and they're not falling for it in this scenario, okay? So I am still winning that matchup, right? Now let's bring in the next Pokemon. The Snowy Castform comes out. I've got very little health left, 32 HP, so I'm not going to bother trying to use shields to protect that. So I get hit by one Weather Ball and I go down. So then out comes the big boy, the king, the champ, Sudowoodo, and we've still got 2 shields left. I opted to use one because, like I said, I've recognized how important Sudowoodo is. So I've used one shield, and then I've used a Rock Slide, and Oroweedy still, in this scenario, has not used any of their shields. There's still 2 shields in hand, right? But they've only got a single Beedrill left with those 2 shields. But what Oroweedy does know is that I've got a Alolan Graveler and I've got Sudowoodo as my 2 remaining Pokemon, because my Beedrill is done at this point. So that the Drill Run can really hurt both of those. So out comes Beedrill and manages to shield bait me, right? Then I get to a Rock Slide, and for the first time, Oroweedy is using a shield. I'm out of shields at this point. Oroweedy the Beedrill gets to a Drill Run, takes me out, and then I come out with a Alolan Graveler. I do get to a Rock Blast, but then the second shield gets used, and then I get Drill Runned to death. Drill Ran to death. Drill Runned. Yeah. So the fact that those 2 shields were kept right until the end, were used very sparingly, meant that a single Beedrill was able to stand up to 2 rock-throwing Pokemon. That's a big deal. So that's kind of 2 things we've learned from this. Number 1 is just how destructive Sudowoodo is, right? And the more shields you can burn on the opponent's side, the better. The second thing is, I've had multiple videos that have looked at this in the past. The power of keeping your shields for more opportune moments. The being able to keep the shields. There is a scenario there where keeping the shields allows Oroweedy to snatch that win away from me. That's it. Hope you've learned just as much from this video as I have. I'm definitely going to be, trying to force situations where I'm at a shield advantage with my Sudowoodo in hand for the rest of my Catacomb Cup battles this month. I hope you enjoy your Catacomb Cup battles, and I'll see you next time.